Beloved star, welcome. Welcome to Immortal Starlight Pod, episode 46. And I would love this week to read to you and share with you chapter 4 of The Silver Wheel. And this is the beautiful book of Elven wisdom teachings that I was given over many years for the dawn, for this time of our ascension and return to the light of who we truly are. This pathway of remembrance of who we are and the light we're here to shine for a new era of peace and of love upon the earth. And with this, I share this most beautiful teaching. It's so exquisite, this guidance, and so simple, so profound in accessing and how to access the deeper stream of our remembrance, that deeper language of light, of our profound knowing from beyond, and how that takes place. So yeah, the Silver Wheel here. I've got my little paperback copy. I did mention actually in an earlier pod, it's currently out of print, but being reprinted, going into its third printing. So if you watch this pod and then you go to look and you haven't read it before and you think you'd love to buy a copy, that's what's happening. And I will announce when it's available again. So yeah, for the time being, I think you can get the Kindle edition, and the physical paperback will be reprinted sometime soon. So this is the fourth teaching. This new dimension is woven out of song or sound. Learn to listen to the frequencies of music through which it speaks to you. The more you relax, the fuller the music will become. And the beautiful glyph, I'll just show you this. This is the overlighting glyph of this teaching. Chapter 4, Dragon held, swallow breath on star, winged handler, elder pipe, grace of lifted fingers. And so we embark upon the fourth teaching. This is that the new earth is woven of sound or vibration. As the deer moves through the forest, the great fanned cups of her ears twitch and flicker in all directions, catching a spectrum of signals from her environment. Her sensitivity is perpetual. She is always listening. So too you are beginning to listen. You are listening to the hidden sounds or vibrations. You hear the resonance or frequency of that which surrounds you. Your body is finely attuned. You listen with your whole body, not just your ears. Your own vibrational presence is a listening device. It discovers the true fabric of reality, the actual vibration of any given situation, place, or person. The vibration may be at odds with the image or story consciously presented. You are being given a great tool for discernment. You shall thus discover your own vibrational affinities and pathways. You shall discover those with whom you resonate, with whom a creative resonance arises. Through the pathways of vibrational affinity, we find one another. This book has its own natural vibrational spectrum that forms its unique transmission, an underlying music to whose rhythms, cadences, and tones it is written. It cannot stray too far from these without losing its integrity, its coherence. And so, what is vibrational sensitivity, and how do we develop this? We shift our seat of attention away from the thinking mind into the realm of feeling. We begin to honor and attend to our feelings as a source of valuable information about ourselves and the reality we are experiencing. This simple shift is the foundation for the reclamation of all the lost abilities that we consider extraordinary. When we give all of our attention to our thinking processes, when we listen to our thoughts to the exclusion of all else, then we are sealed off from the messages of the greater reality. It cannot reach us with the gifts it wishes to pour upon us, with the beautiful metamorphosis that it is offering. The lost continent of your feelings exists unexplored. You have this most exquisite and wondrous device within you that has infinite capacity for development. This is the realm of feeling. We think that feeling is an inferior mode that will limit us into an overly personal view of reality and obscure our clear functioning. We think of feeling as a more primitive aspect of ourselves. Yet, it is in fact an invaluable tool by which we are connected to reality. It is the threads of a vibrational sensitivity that anchors our connection to the universe. Choose that which makes you feel happy, loving, inspired. Your happiness, your inspiration is natural. It is nature returned to itself. It is the restoration of the cosmic order. You are monitoring yourself. You are tracking happiness, completion, wonder. This is the vibration, the music of the golden dawn. Your happiness is the golden jewel. Your inspiration is the beloved treasure of the golden dawn. When you are resonating in synchronization with spirit, then you feel deep joy. You become the white starfire of infinite love. You become the new earth. Notice when the breath of openings of hope occurs. The sensation of expanded horizon, does it inspire you? Does it fill you with a sense of infinite potential? Do the doors of mystery fly open, and you remember the endless wonder of the universe? These are the feelings that are the music of the new earth. Do you feel empowered, clear, resonant with wisdom both explored and unexplored? Do you feel the wing brush of angelic companions, the shimmer of a unicorn's visitation, the loving breath of an elder spirit touching you with affirmation, joy, and love? Do the emerald spirits of the forest sing to you the ancient codes, even in the solitude of a closed room? Do the crystals inspire you with their starlight codes of creation? Do the waters enshrine you in their mystical love? Do you feel a wild and ecstatic delight in the company of your loved ones? These are the feelings of the golden dawn. These are the music of an incipient yet powerful reality. The new earth is revealing herself through these vibrational arrivals, these resonances dawning into our sphere of experience. They are the encodings for peace on earth. The deer makes her lilting progress through the forest, the sensitive shells of her ears flickering back and forth. She hears everything through the fibers of her sensitivity, her gift of clairaudience. She guides you into the subtle vibratory realm of the crystals and the stones. To them, here you are listening, learning to hear their vibrational messages that have been stored within the earth for so long. This is the music of the earth's inner spheres. This is where her Lemurian era is encoded, where we can hear the great leaf fall, the lost sunbeams and moonbeams of that age. These are vibrational messages to which we can listen if we so choose. The records can be heard. We hear the earth's true history as recorded by the rocks and the crystals, as sung by the glittering sands with their thousands of crushed grains. When looking for the golden dawn, Listen for that which has depth of frequency. It must be stirring, tidal, resonant, moving. It is that which alters you. It has a depth of vibration that is transformative. You feel your ancient heart beginning to believe in the possibility of happiness again. You feel ancient hope beating its wings and your innermost creative visions activating, sparkling into presence. The song of the golden dawn acts as invocation, as evocation. Sound and music are dimensions about which we can make profound choices that deeply affect our evolution. We choose our listening. We pitch our awareness at its own unique angle. And this is the music with which we fill our lives. This music is the vibratory pattern that travels to us and from us in perpetual exchange, sounding our material reality into existence. These vibratory patterns underpin our lives. We need to begin listening to the unheard, silent music, pouring into the frequencies that as yet are barely audible to the physical ear, and yet are available to our perception. This music enables us to take up the music of our natural inheritance, to take up the music of the earth and the sun and the stars. This is the music that offers the flowering, the expansion of our essence. It offers us the opportunity to be more than merely the expression of yesterday and the endless repetitions of the past. It means that we listen to more than the stuck record of an isolated human existence, going beyond the limits it has determined for itself. There are different notes and tones for our different moods, those of peace and those of anxiety. We hold access to a range of frequencies that represent the spectrum of our experience, of our feelings. This shall become more and more transparent, more evident, more audible. It shall become one of the major tools by which we experience and guide our own evolution. It shall be a way by which we see into that which is really happening. There is no accident that the ancient shaman healers have always used drums and bells and rattles. It is a way of speaking with the deepest levels of our existence. We shall utilize these tools again on a much wider basis. They shall become available to us all as mediums by which we gain direct access to the heart of experience, and by which we enter into communion with that which lies beyond human language. This is not a peripheral or artistic activity, though it can bring profound beauty and enjoyment. It is about the direct access to truth. This is why we feel genuinely moved by music, and it is always already sounding and moving us. We are being moved and transformed as we speak by the vast sounding of the universe. Equally, we give off our own signal, our own sound, and affect everything around us with this which we offer to the music of the whole. I cannot tell you how glad I am to offer the sounds of the Deerskin Book, of these teachings and symbols. It is an ancient choreography that belongs specifically to this moment of our evolution. It allows an expansion of our beings into greater levels of love and truth. It is a ladder for consciousness. With it, there comes a sense of discovery, of liberation, of potential. The golden fires of creativity and expression crackle at our fingertips. We long to make these sounds, to become this music and inhabit the space it offers. Even as we hear it, we become aware this is something that I am. This is something I can carry with me in every moment, every day, and we become aware of the inestimable blessing we thus bring to the world, the thirst for exactly this, its benefit and its timelessness. It is the relationship of sound to silence that comprises its greatest gift. In the hollows of sound are opened up the spaces in which we experience our infinite being. We hear this endless depth, this limitless space. This is what brings us peace and freedom. Suddenly all the chatter, all the questions and answers, contrasts and quandaries vanish, and we become aware the soundlessness, the well of silence that exists. It is in this that we hear, finally, that which arises from our own being. We hear the bell-like sounding of our own light, how it arises in the darkness, offers itself in the dance of the cosmos. We are this effortless sounding of light that has the wisdom to leave the space for all things to exist. It knows there is enough of everything for us all. There is endless potential and endless resource. Sound can bring us into the heart of abundance, the generative and infinite source. It is this the deer has travelled through time and space to preserve, to make available in the form of the Deerskin Book to the present moment. It is this to which the inks of the moon and of the sun, spilling silver and gold, interlaced with sapphire symbols, are dedicated. And indeed it is the pathless path, the trackless way, involving a deep trust in ourselves, a deep listening to the music of the stars within us. This brings us to the role of the drum in the teachings. The drum enables us to attune our frequency to that of the earth. We take the drum in our hands and begin to beat out the rhythm of our heartbeats. We discover that they are caught into the disconnected rhythm of our thoughts, and gently we begin to drum them back into resonance with the heartbeat, the rhythms of the earth. Native peoples speak of the heartbeat of the mother, and Mother Earth does indeed have her own vibrational pulse. We can choose to become attuned to this. This is one of the ways in which we are restored into conscious awareness of her subtle realms and attuned to her lost dimensions. Each of us has our own natural resonant frequency, which, when twinned with the frequency of Earth, leads one on a pathway of unique, dimensional loveliness. As we each begin to pound out our true pathways of the heart, there is the dance of feet in golden moccasins that remember their own wisdom. This is a homecoming. When we do this, we find our true place of belonging upon this earth. Unique dimensional loveliness flowers upward from our steps. We walk with grace. We walk with lightness upon the earth in a synchronization that gives birth to inspiration. Every morning we drum our hearts into synchronization with the earth. This leads our footsteps on a different pathway than we might otherwise have traveled. The drum is a messenger of the golden dawn, an alchemist and a prophet of what is uniquely emergent in the precious and precise dance of our footfalls upon the planet. As the drumstick or the flat of our hand falls and strikes the surface of the drum, so we fall and meet with Mother Earth. There is a descent into alignment with her subtle calls and rhythms. Then, from our dancing footfalls from the fall, emerges an echo that travels beyond. It travels to our outermost circumference, calling out to the star realms, creating a resonance with our furthest edge. This resonance is the return of the shining ones of far galactic realms traveling back into this dimension. The circle of heaven and earth is restored, the great overarching intergalactic hoop of life. We are starlight returning to ourselves, walking across the infinity of space to become earth once more. We bring with us the future, the messages of the ancient ones. Thus, by allowing this resonance through the beating of the drum with the earth, we harmonize ourselves with all that lies beyond, with the sun and the stars and with space. The drum is a bridge over which consciousness may pass. The Lemurian understanding is of the totality of the drum, its wholeness. The drum restores us beyond ascent and descent into interdimensional immanence. We are being called from afar. We listen for the calls, for the communications of the greater dawn, for in the thrum of vibration that dwells beneath sound is the language of the elders. The drum is a messenger of the languages of light, summoning them to where we are. It sounds our intention to become an anchor to their revelatory vibrations. First, there is the synchronization with the earth, and then there is the anchoring of the hidden vibrations of the cosmos. We are free to choose the attunement of our inner drum. We can drum in time with the earth and the sun and the stars, or we can venture off into disconnected rhythms and frequencies. These teachings act as a bridge to enable us to catch up to our place in the cosmic stage. We shall make great advances in a very short time, until the sunlight becomes the gold of pure creation in our hands once again. There is also the role of the crystal singing bowls that inspire attunement to some very evolved frequencies. You can only know by their appearance in your life of your readiness to hear them. They are like the rare orchids waiting to teach us of this moment in our evolution, waiting to attune us to delicate frequencies and sensitivities that embody our own potential. Their rare beauty does not make their arrival in our lives peripheral, but rather we must dare to bring this beauty to the center of ourselves. We let their crystalline tones echo through us, evoking the self we thought too evolved and wise to touch our clouded hearts. This self is in fact our own hidden wisdom. Thus the bowls represent our unwillingness to remain caught in the patterns of suffering of the last centuries of our lifetimes. They draw us forward into the crystallization of our own truer presence. As arrivals of the golden dawn, we become the one who sounds the notes of creation. We take up our place as heavenly emissaries, rather than always waiting for the appearance and miracles of the angels outside of us. We begin to weave this sound-light temple of the earth once again. We strengthen her frequencies. We commit to her healing. This plays through us with wondrous spontaneity. We can trust ourselves by our attunement to the sunlight to be this greater dawn. We can trust to the emergence of the lost temples, which shall play themselves through our hands by the dedication of our hearts. These are the naturally emergent songs. This is the attunement that is always already taking place, and that we are equipped with tools to take part in. Such trust in the self can be difficult. We feel we have made such mistakes, such errors in judgment. We fear our impulses' power to lead us into chaos, and the power of our own desire to distract us. We fear to strike the discordant notes in the universal symphony, to be untuned wayward in error. This is why we trust in the earth and the sun and the stars and allow ourselves to be held. We do nothing alone. We allow the silence to carry us into a deeper connection, an awareness of the sound-light essence of the world. We wait until we hear the earth and the sunlight, and then we allow them to weave through us, to carry us where they will. We are never alone. We need not become lost in a solitary consciousness or illusion. And we must not be afraid of the places to which they carry us. We are never too far out, too far away. These are false limitations we place upon ourselves. We may let ourselves travel to the stars and back again, following the vibratory lines of travel that are now available. This, then, is the voice and the many languages that speak. We are singers, we have speech. These beautiful and complex vowel and consonantal patterns come forth. This is the gift of Arianrod, the sapphire star of language, of uttered sound. Do not be afraid of your voice. It is one of your primary modes of creation. It is always revealing that which you are. It must be allowed to take up the unheard music, the sounding of the stars. You must allow yourself to be the voice of angels, the ascending frequencies of remembrance. It shall dance and beckon through you like a cascading stream beneath the surface, always waiting to be uttered, waiting for its emergence. The language of the shining ones speaks through us of what does not yet exist and anchors it here in the present. It is a language beyond our own, expressing that which our language is not yet developed to express. It speaks in a language of the spheres, of the universe. It speaks the language of light, and we receive much guidance through this medium. We awaken to the practices written so deeply within us. If we begin to feel stretched and thin with effort, as though we are striving too hard for remembrance, we must relax and return to the silence. Let all impressions, all light, sounds, languages fade away. This dawn is self-sustaining. It arises naturally. You can never lose this. Sometimes it must all be surrendered, all the beauty also, that builds in us like a tension where we would gather and retain it. The breath and the silence will carry us back into the truth, back into a true listening. All of this is naturally arising, carried by an infinite intelligence so much greater than ourselves, carried by the winged breath of the stars that yet love us. We are not the sole carriers of this mighty dream. It arises with its own fluctuations and timing. There is no need to become frantic with activities, with spiritual practices. Such an approach only sustains the divide between spirit and matter, the coercion of an external discipline. Ask yourself what arises naturally in this great sounding dawn of the earth. We shall become much more aware of sound and vibration than we have been, and they are tools by which the new earth is being drawn into being, by which the physical manifestation alters. The earth is changing. She is dreaming herself differently, and the sound-light dimension of her dreaming grows ever more resonant and present. More and more of us are listening, switching our allegiance from the old to the new. This is the myth of the new age, but it is only an attempt to articulate what is really taking place. Our work is not to try to sustain and patch up the old. This only engenders fields of resistance, which create further disruption. We must allow the flowing star lines and their songs around which the earth is weaving her new dream to come into our lives. We must allow for the reality of this invisible dimension that presses upon us. already breaking into visibility here and there. We must allow ourselves to dream with the earth and not fight her transmutation. Her transformation is an expansion and an evolution, the marriage of starlight and stardust moving ever more deeply through her heart. She follows the path of the crystals who are guides at this time. She depends on us, for we are her dreamers. We are her mind and imagination. There are those who have followed the path of the deer and rediscovered the symbols where they are stored in the sound-light dimension of this earth. Somehow we have not forgotten that which goes consciously untaught. It might feel rebellious, yet it is that which is most harmonious, requiring a dedication to a reality not held in the conscious awareness of our times. Who knows what gesture, what activation, what action, what ceremony of healing, of transformative weaving shall arise within us from one moment to the next, fulfilling a narrative whispered so close to our hearts, an almost inaudible, yet incredibly powerful prerogative. These inspired gestures shall never be senseless or strange to us. We shall have a profound understanding and clarity about that which moves through us. Its reality is characterized by purity and simplicity. We shall recognize the practices that carry the vibration of the dawn. They may come through symbolism, through metaphor and ceremony, but they shall have the intensity that cuts through illusion. We do not need to keep waving the rainbow flags of the old dawn. We do not need to keep enacting the ceremonies of past lives. We need that which arises from the silence, those stars that are truly being born. Honor the old dawn, for this has preserved the sunlight prayers and kept the thread of love and silence as a candle burning in the darkness. It has reminded us to love one another and kept alive the practices of the light. Theirs are the ceremonies and the prayers, the temples and the mountaintop cairns. Theirs are the churches, the altars, the faith and the devotion. Theirs the sensitivity and connectedness, the awareness of the sound-like gifts of earth and stars. They are our ancestors, and they are ourselves. They are the ones we have preserved and protected, fought for and destroyed. We have been on both sides of a mighty battle. They are the ones who sing with love of the fading of the old earth. They have witnessed her passing. Theirs has been the grief and the burden of awareness that an era is ending. This old earth is passing like a fine sunset. We need the illumination and the inspiration of what has been. This is the frame of love that must fall around us before and after. Yet there is no life for us in turning to face this sunset, in trying to walk the old paths. This is nostalgia and a misunderstanding of the dedication it took to carry the teachings through the ages. Those of the old dawn did what they could because so much had been forgotten. But theirs was a lantern in the night compared with the coming of the greater dawn. We do no honor to their sacrifice by imitation, by obeying the letter of a faded practice when the full light of its genesis, its inspiration, is once again offered. It is time to let go of the past and become all that we are. Increasingly, we find that we are being taught directly by the spirits, by the earth and the stars. We drum in our sunlight meditation, and teachings are given to us, wisdom received, and practices ignited. It is natural inspiration. It is us remembering how to seek our own hearts and how to be worthy guardians and participants in nature's unfolding. We are no longer the children by whom all this was forgotten. Our hands are not so stained by the guilt of the ages that we are not eligible for this direct inspiration. As our starlight bodies heal and begin to shine, we are able to receive the communication and wisdom for which we are destined. It is that which we already know, but that has become obscured to us. Once again, I repeat, we are not unprepared. We are not uninitiated. We are not untrained. This is the unfolding flower of lifetimes. We can keep behaving like needy children, desperate to receive pearls of wisdom and teaching from others. We can be the eternal seekers, or we can embrace our own readiness. This is the truth of our readiness to manifest our greater selves here in this dimension, to transmit the learning of lifetimes. We cannot be forever waiting for reassurance, for those around us to give us their blessing and recognition. We cannot await some perfect future conditions. The mandala of the silver wheel is emergent within us. When we allow for stillness, for depth, the dance of its inspiration arises, our own wisdom. It happens when we surrender to the vibration of the dawn. It happens when we let the unscripted programming of the light occur. It is all there, all known and unknown, all at once. Our own recognition of its completeness, its perfection occurs. There is no one to confer the laurels but ourselves. We do not need to obligate others with the task of recognition. There shall be the natural recognition by members of our soul group for whom we inspire recognition of themselves. Our illumination blesses them. That is all that is required. Our true vibration blesses, as even the unseen flower blesses the forest. Yet we shall not go unseen, because to step into the light is to shine, to sacrifice the safety of the shadows. It is safe to do this now. Perhaps in other eras it has been dangerous, but this is the timeliness. This is the nature of the transformation. As the earth herself begins to shine and her illuminated ones become themselves. Some fear to believe they are too special, yet this specialness is the characteristic of existence itself. It is not untrue to say that we fear our own brilliance, our own power, yet we have forgotten the inherent peacefulness of such brilliance, its power of love and blessing and compassion. You shall hurt no one by your acknowledgement of your own true nature. They may resist your transformation, yet by it they shall be blessed. Even as we fear the earth's changes, her letting go of that which is no longer required, yet we are so much more blessed by this change than we can possibly know. We feel as though we are being shaken and hurt, moved from place to place, filled with uncertainty. We feel sometimes that we are suffering the loss of hopes and dreams, yet nothing that we truly need is taken, and everything that we most long for is offered. We must allow the dream to fill the earth with silence, to cast free of the old boundaries of the old song. We must allow for a moment of nothingness, when all we do is breathe into the silence. These are the spaces where the spirit enters, where the symbols descend to earth. In the moment when we cast loose, become the unknown, that is when the light enters. That is the arrival of the new dawn. And we shall be so glad, because we know that it came from beyond us. We know that it came from beyond the furnace and the forge of our own will, and thus we shall know we are not alone. The symbols shine golden in their amethyst crystals. The Lemurian teachings are arriving. This shall be a temple of the earth, sustained by sound and starlight. The drum and the bells and the crystal bowls, the language of light shall anchor this upon the earth. It shall evolve and be consecrated. It shall become itself and be offered to infinite space. The language of listening shall be ours, the language of what is heard. For how else to learn how to speak in a new universe? We shall listen, and our words shall be built of our listening. There shall always be the skeptic, the one who stands back a little, but this does not matter. It is not your job to persuade anyone. Let what will be, be. None of this is sustained by your own power. Let it go, bequeath it to the silence, to the breath. Only that which naturally arises is worth having. I gaze upwards into the tiered branches of the oak tree. Honeysuckle has twined its way into the squat branches that taper to oak-leafed twigs. In the forest, summer steps into her own green shadow. The atmosphere is heavy scented as the moon becomes full, rain falls into the forest, stars blossom out of the river. I have walked here away from the river. I sit beneath the oak tree that stands alone at the top of the wood. The elder appears, honeysuckle blossom in her hair, wearing a dress of jade, her skin moonbeam pale. A circlet of jade and opals is upon her brow. She steps out from behind the oak tree and stands before me. She is the one who holds the constellations of this place, where honeysuckle meets star. Silver wings rise from her back, a delicate tree of enchantment. My heart lilts in my chest with wonder and recognition. Many have come here to seek my guidance. What is your heart's wish in coming to this place? I wish to learn from whence the old language truly comes, I tell her. I have dwelt here for a long, long time. In this place, the threads connecting the physical earth with the immortal soul of earth have never been broken fully, even though there are no longer those alive who maintain the old ceremonies, that which the ancient ones set in motion so very long ago still runs uninterrupted, and the vision continues to be fulfilled. The language that you hear is the one shared by the elemental and spirit kingdoms. It is the old language, the language of light. It is the language of the elven ones, such as myself, who are the spiritual guardians of the earth. Not many of us remain, as I do, fully connected to this realm. Yet the return is prophesied, as we are born into the human realms once more, and the old contracts are fulfilled. This is the language that you hear. What does this language inspire in your heart? I look into her slanted eyes, their galactic depths. I wish to let it flow through me, to bring its wisdom and healing to the world. It makes sense that you are here, she murmurs. It is time, follow me. I stand up and follow her around the ancient oak tree. On the other side, it becomes apparent that the tree is hollow, and as we step within, I see that the inner bark spirals upward in a natural staircase. The lady leads the way, mounting the stairs ahead of me, until she vanishes into an opening at the top of the stairwell. I emerge onto a platform that is built, where the trunk fans out into its upper branches. It overlooks the forest, perched in its canopy. The Elven one sits down, her jade green skirts piling around her. I sit down beside her. She reaches into her pockets and brings out a pale suede pouch. She gently shakes out the contents, a bundle wrapped in cloth woven of winter leaves. She unwinds the cloth and a carved pipe falls into her hands. It is carved of elder wood, she tells me, and first we shall smoke your dream, smoke your prayer to the four winds so that the stars may hear your call all the more clearly. She unwraps another smaller pouch and tips from it some dried leaves. This is mullein leaf, she explains, and fills the bowl of the pipe with the leaves. She whispers words in the old language, and a small orb of blue flame ignites, hovering just above the palm of her hand. All the elven ones are carriers of the elder fire, she explains, and then putting the stem of the pipe to her mouth, she lights it. The blue orb of flame dims and fades. She inhales deeply, then exhales a long plume of white smoke arising into the forest air. She puffs at the pipe repeatedly, keeping it alight, her other hand resting in her lap. Her eyes closed, her body curved forward slightly. The plumes of smoke rise, dispersing into the blue skies. This prayer I shall give to you. It is an invocation to the four directions, and it calls in the sphere of the silver wheel, so that you may stand within the elemental circle of its truths. Speak as I do, facing the east. I invoke the Sunstar Temple of the East, the golden arising of the sun, bringing the inspiration of the star realms that lie beyond. I invoke the warmth and inspiration of the greater dawn. May I shine as a sacred flame to all who follow. Now face the south and say, I invoke the Earth Star Temple of the South and her lost dimensions of sound. I invoke the shining ones of the sapphire dream who hold the silence and the listening of the crystals, rocks, and stones. May I become sensitive to the sound, the silence, the listening. Now stand facing the west and say, I invoke the Moonstone Temple of the West, of the waters. I invoke the evening star of gratitude and trust, the reflection of its light within my heart. May I give and receive love, moment to moment, so that the universal flow is maintained through me. Now face the north and say, I invoke the Star Temple of the North, the wisdom of the winds. I invoke the ancient purity of the bear cloak of the elders. May I fly on the silver wings of a true wisdom beyond judgment, beyond good and evil. Now stand in the center and make the final invocation. I invoke the immortal tree of all worlds, whose roots reach down to the crystal at the center of the earth, and whose branches spiral into the heavens above. May the violet flame of her immortal leaves spread their canopy over my days and nights. May I remember myself as the intergalactic song of the stars. These are the four directions of the silver wheel, the temple of Ariane Rod. She passes the pipe to me. Here it is, the carved elder pipe curved in my fingers. I can feel the immeasurable grace of this act, how I am transported by this simple physical gesture. I lift the pipe to my lips and inhale from the narrow stem, feeling the smoke rising through me. I exhale in a long plume, watching the coils of smoke spiral loosely into the air, forming their unique and transient sign language. My hand is cupped around the bowl of the pipe. I sink into prayer, and it is as though I am blowing the smoke along the pathways of the old language, calling them forth, anchoring them into this dimension once more. It is the power of my heart that makes this call, and even with all the fervent intensity of its wish, I can feel that this is but a slender beginning in the great storm of wishes that shall unite and bring forth the ancient language of earth. I see that the smoke is my faith reaching out, having come far enough to blow this wish to the winds. I offer the smoke of the sacred pipe to the stars, to the ancient dream here written, to that which is perpetual, programmed. It arises and arises flawless within the fabric of things. The smoke finds the hidden pattern, curls up amongst the oak branches and the rain. I come here with this inspiration of the old language that expresses itself endlessly without end, carrying its own intention. How the words spill soft silvered, feathered weights of the moon, tumbling in through the canopy of the forest, catching on the river and uttering themselves around me. I shall say the same thing over and over to build up the nuance softly, dragon-footed. I see that the time is here, she tells me. It is time to reveal the secret of this tree and to let the knowledge of its true nature be accessible once again in the human worlds. Come, follow me. I follow her down the oak stairwell, and when I alight beside her in the hollow tree trunk, I cast my eyes down and see that beneath the ascending stairwell there is an entrance to one that descends beneath the crumbling hollow of the oak's trunk. She gestures that I go first, and with some hesitation I descend into the loamy darkness, placing careful feet upon the steps. It is cool and dark. A sapphire pale glow blossoms in the darkness, lighting up the walls, and I turn around and see that the elder has kindled the orb of blue flame once again, floating just ahead of her. It illumines the walls of the stairwell, through which the sinuous roots of the oak tree ripple and twist, charting our trail as we go deeper and ever deeper beneath the ground. It is a narrow and steep descent, coiling in a vertiginous spiral that guides us downward far beneath the earth. There is the rustle of our progress, and then the blue light illumines a pale archway, and I step through it, and I am in a domed chamber that rises, sculpted and smooth, all around. There is an earthen floor, and the dome is painted white as though with chalk. The ceiling is incredibly high, and I realize that it must arch all the way to the surface of the earth, peeking under the hollowed center of the great oak. The elder emerges from behind me, sweeping across the chamber in her jade skirts and sitting down against one of the walls. I sit down in the center of the vaulting space. It has an echoing acoustic quality, and I feel my movements are being choreographed into the lines of vibratory grid, a dance of ancient sounds that underlies this space. This is one of the ancient sound chambers, she tells me. In the old days, they were everywhere under the earth. They glowed and filled with celestial light and communicated with one another. They enabled the translocation between realms. They communicated with the roots of the trees and underground waters. They were filled with all the frequencies of growth. Through these chambers, whole star worlds entered into physical form. Through such a passageway, flowers and trees, animals and people arrived from other worlds and were woven into the elemental realms of earth. The earth was full of these hollow realms, these dreaming spaces in her fabric. Her inner worlds were alive with these sacred sounds. Earth was more ethereal then, because these doorways to the lost dimensions were held open. Ethereal and rapid were her cycles of flowering, with a translucency to the stars that glowed from within her. The building of these chambers was an act of maintenance by the Elven ones, a response by them to the potentials of Earth, using the gifts they brought from other worlds. Beneath each chamber is an entirely hollow crystal chamber, like a sphere or a seed lying beneath. This acts as storage for all the sound produced, recording all that passes. The Elder One comes over to where I sit and crouches beside me. I see the golden skin drum she is holding out in her hands. I look at her for a moment. It seems impossible that I should make any sound in this place that has heard the vast purity of the music of the Elven ones. Trust yourself to receive the language of light. You shall sit here beating the drum and carry back the gift of words upon the sacred winds. This is your joy and your mission upon the earth. I take the drum from her and begin to beat it softly. And after a time, as the magnificent acoustic builds around me, I begin to hear the white chorus of other drums being beaten all around me, and a chanting that touches me like a wind. It is a gentle and almost indiscernible tide of sound. I am dissolving into hundreds of golden butterflies, their etheric wings thrumming with the vibration of the drum, which continues to sound throughout the chamber. The walls of the chamber have vanished, and beyond are the deep vistas of intergalactic space. The butterflies are whispering with the voices of the old language, a voice that comes from many places at once. This is the language where many speak as one. The butterflies are diffuse, points of consciousness sounding seamlessly through one another. These are the messengers of the intergalactic council, those dimensions of the silver wheel that stem from beyond this galaxy, translating into the dimensions of our vibratory sphere. Where the walls of the chamber once were is an expanse of space coloured like midnight amethyst scattered with stars. It is these stars that are echoing, caught on the myriad antennae of the butterflies, bouncing off the fragile tissue of their wings. The old language is the multiple voice, that which whispers forth from many dimensions at once, with eternally harmonious points of multiple origination. It is this whispering language that can unlock the lost dimensions of Earth, unveiling her own intergalactic depths, liberating her interdimensional mysteries. These sacred sounds are never wasted, but vibrate for the restoration of the lost dimensions. The ancient sound chambers can transport us directly into intergalactic communion, transforming us into expressive messengers of the golden dawn. The worlds of Earth vibrate differently every time the old language is spoken anew. The drum offers the restoration of your true voice. That is the vibration of listening to other worlds. The drum shall make you sing, and your voice shall unlock the lost spheres. So saying, the golden butterflies vanish into the midnight amethyst of space, called as messengers to galaxies beyond, and I am sitting here still beating the drum until the beats ebb softly into the silence, and the chalk-white walls of the dome are restored around me. Know that the golden butterflies will return. They exist across the threshold of the old language and of the drum. Every time you pick up the drum, you ask them to act as intergalactic messengers. Thus shall they come and go, maintaining your connection to the farthest stars of our world, from whence the inspiration of the golden dawn is transmitted. Yanara Totiana Tian Atharathian Imranuniara Thathianere Tien. With so much love and blessings of this Elven Immortal Star Pod episode 46, with so much love and farewell for now.